So I told my wife, this is Laetare Sunday. She just gives me the look and says something about muttering jibber-jabber. Laetare is a Latin word, and I heard in seminary that when you use a Latin or a Greek word, you can impress people. Well, it turns out that's just not true. But it really is Laetare Sunday. The English meaning is lighten up Sunday. And that's actually a better title than the Latin, I think. Lighten up Sunday. Relax a little bit from Lent. There's an old story about an angel who is checking things out on earth and runs home to heaven all upset. God, it's bad down there. 95% of humanity is misbehaving. Only 5% of them are being good. God says, Well, the angel doesn't know what that means. So the angel promises to go back and check on things again later. Time passes. The angel goes back to earth to look things over. The angel comes back upset again. Lord, it's still really bad. 95% of those people are not living the way you want. Only 5% are behaving well. God says, Well, I'll tell you, I'll think over what to do about the 95%. In the meantime, I'm going to send an email to the 5%. You know, a message of encouragement to keep them going. You know what that email said, right? No? I didn't get one either. What's the deal? We're all sinners in this together today. It's Laetare Sunday, Lighten Up Sunday. And we are given a parable to enjoy, which reminds us to lighten up. We're given this parable of God's amazing grace. People usually call it the parable of the prodigal son. That's not a very good title because it's really about the father's love for both kids. The little brother who runs off and gets into a big mess, and the good kid who toes the line but resents little brother. Turns out that the father showers love on both kids. And if Jesus means to say that God is like the Father in this parable, then it is the parable of God's amazing grace. G-A-G. And that parable really can make some righteous people gag, you know. Let's face it, a lot of us church people are the nice ones. The ones who don't get into rotten behaviors. The ones who mostly behave. We just want things to be fair. We just want everyone to get what's coming to him or to her. We just want justice. This kid who runs off, blows through the family wealth with self-indulgent behaviors. That kid can come home, sure, but there has to be punishment. There has to be a harsh talking to. Instead, this kid gets a party. Where's the justice in that? Where's the fair? God, according to Jesus, is not about fair. God, according to Jesus, is not about giving us what we deserve. God, according to Jesus, is way better than that. There is only one way to be welcome at God's banquet table. It is by God's invitation, God's gift, God's undeserved forgiveness. In a word, it's by grace. We get in because we have connections. We get in because of who we know. We get in because we have a friend. It's the friend of outcasts and sinners and losers. It's Jesus of Nazareth. Back in 1975, I was engaged to a beautiful young woman. We had a fast romance. I started dating her in the middle of October. In November, I asked her to marry me. Now, I think I waited a little too long, but I was a little slow back then. At Christmas, it was time to meet the parents. She was from Corning, and we drove down together from Potsdam. The closer we got, the more nervous I got. The Southern Tier was new to me and beautiful, But I was about to meet two people I'd never met and tell them that I wanted to marry their daughter. I had a churning stomach, a dry mouth, and sweaty palms. My only hope was the person sitting next to me in the car. I hoped they would love me just because she did. Well, the good news is that they did, so that made it a joyful Christmas for me. If you are worried about the reception you might face when you arrive at God's home, remember, you will not arrive alone. You'll have a friend next to you. And this friend once told a story about two wayward sons, one outwardly righteous and the other a major train wreck. Both kids were loved and welcomed by the father. You always have a friend next to you who will take you to the home of the Father and make sure you are welcomed and loved. That's the good news, dear friends. That's the gospel. That's the Christian story. You always have a home. You always have a welcome. You are always invited into joy. It's Laetare Sunday, today and every Sunday. Lighten up. Amen.